Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Finally Friday. This time on a Tuesday. A terrible Tuesday. The site's still down. Can you believe it? Well, if you know who my hosting provider is, my old hosting provider is, then yes, you do know why the site is still down. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for joining us in the live chat over at our YouTube channel, Major Spoilers Video. Thank you so much. Hello, everybody. Some of you are returning. Some of you may be watching for the first time and be saying and want to say something to Stephen. Hey, Stephen, there's something missing from the top of your head. Of course, you're first time person. I have no idea why you would be saying that. But if you are a longtime viewer and listener of our Finally Friday show, you know there's something missing from the top of my head. And if you are someone who paid attention yesterday when the doorbell rang, I said, oh, I know what that is. But I didn't want to rush upstairs and come back down all sweaty and hot and out of breath because I would just be, frankly, disgusting. But indeed it was. It was what I thought it was. And it's quite fitting that this arrived on Monday. It is a brand new fez. Let's put it on right. It is the Epic Fail Hat. The Epic Fail Hat from Fez-O-Rama. We've seen this hat many times before. Not this hat, but we've seen these fezzes from Fez-O-Rama many times before. I just love these fezzes. I got a whole bunch of them, so we've got a whole new lineup of fezzes to entertain you and amuse you on upcoming installments of Finally Friday. But today, Terrible Tuesday. I love words, and I love how people are very selective of the words that they use. There's a great bit in Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland, where Humpty Dumpty is saying, words mean what I want them to mean, no more and no less. And that's kind of really fitting with my old/current hosting provider. I mean, we're still the website. Here's the website in case you're wanting to know what it looks like. The current website that you see right there is still being hosted through our old hosting provider. I'll talk about the new hosting provider in just a little bit. But it's very, very interesting. I think I mentioned this before, and for those of you that have read the Facebook page over at facebook.com/majorspoilers, please like it. Let's get up to a couple thousand people before the site comes back up. That'd be wonderful. If you're a first-time person watching this stuff, subscribe down below. Let's get those numbers up as well. It's real interesting. Very early on in the start of this whole debacle, probably like Thursday afternoon, Thanksgiving Day afternoon, one person that I talked to at the hosting provider used the term DDoS attack, and I think that everyone knows the denial of service attack. And of course, that's a pretty big deal, and it's a pretty tragic deal for anybody that has had to have gone through this. I've known a couple people whose sites have gone through this, and they've made it through. The funny thing was, up until this morning, they refused to use the word DDoS attack, that your site is being attacked. Instead, they used a very interesting phrase. And that phrase was illegitimate attempts to access your site. Illegitimate attempts to access your site. Or, I'm sorry, illegitimate traffic. They use both of those. So interesting. Because they don't want to say, oh no, you're being attacked from a specific country or range of IP addresses and all these kinds of things. Instead, they used illegitimate traffic. Today, when I called them back over another issue that was being experienced last night, most of you probably experienced it last night or yesterday as well, was only the second time that the person I talked to said a denial of service attack was going on the site. So a denial of service attack was going on the site, or maybe we should just use the word illegitimate traffic, negatively impacting your ability to access the server. A lot of you, save for maybe one small portion of Canada, could not access the site at all yesterday. You were getting this server doesn't exist, this site doesn't exist, DNS errors. And even I mentioned this yesterday, because of the way they were auto-blocking, I was banned from my own site. The admin, who supposedly was whitelisted, meaning my IP address could go through and I could do whatever I need to do, was blocked from my very own site. Well, we were recording some podcasts last night, and Rob Rasmussen said, "Hey, I replied to your emails. Didn't you get a reply to my emails?" I was like, "No." "Maybe you forgot to hit the send button, Rob." No, I didn't really say that. But then one of our other writers and contributors, Wayne Hall, wrote to me on my other email account, said, "Hey man, these emails that I'm sending to Mindspring or to Major Spoilers are getting bounced." And I was like, "What is going on?" Some of you saw last night on Twitter that I was asking some people for some help and checking some things out. Finally got on the phone with GoDaddy last night again. I shouldn't say GoDaddy. I should say my current hosting provider. And they're like, "Oh, yeah, man, somehow all your DNS stuff got all messed up. Oh, man. We don't know what happened. Let's go and fix that." And I was on the phone with them until 2 o'clock in the morning. Young Zach Wolf asked me this morning, "How many hours have you been on with tech support now?" And I think it's somewhere between 16 and 17 hours with tech support over the last 6 days now. So they said they got it all reserved. They reserved judgment on whether they knew what they were doing. They said they had it all resolved. Sure enough, I went to bed at 2 o'clock in the morning because I was tired. Had a terrible night's sleep. Somebody call in and ask me to tell you about my dream. But got up this morning, still no email, still no access to my own website. Called up the hosting provider again, and the technical support people said, "Oh yeah, let's look at this again. Maybe that guy last night didn't know what the heck he was talking about." You think? And it took them until, I don't know, probably around noon, 11 o'clock noon, before they figured out what was going on. Before my email got restored, so you now can send me email to podcast@majorspoilers.com or any of the majorspoilers.com email addresses that you want to get to. But I probably lost a lot of emails yesterday. In fact, I know I did. Some of it started to filter through about noon. But it's just like, what the heck, people? I tried to get a hold of them to find out what was going on, but I think that the only answer I'm ever going to get back from these guys is this. I don't think they know what was going on. So needless to say, I'm still very upset about this. But I'm starting to take it with a little bit of a light heart. I can laugh a little bit about it. Rodrigo had a good comment. I would say listen to the next Major Spoilers podcast, because I'm going to see if he can recreate that moment last night when we were sitting around the table talking about this incident. But I got to tell you, I am so excited. What's happening right now is the new hosting provider, the server is all set up. They walked me through things today. The server is just waiting for me to start putting stuff on it. Problem is, it's taking me forever to pull 8.5 years worth of content down from my current server. Yesterday I was at 15 hours. Right now I'm about 7 hours. So 24 hours later, I still have 7 hours worth of content to download. And there's even a lot more than that. So it's probably going to be tomorrow before I can even start uploading content to the new server. And then we're going to do some configuring stuff. And then we're going to switch everything over. And then hopefully, earliest by Friday, latest by Monday, I'm hoping that you have access to the site. But here's how you know if you have access to the right site or not. If you go over to the website and you get this maintenance mode message, it means you are still looking at the old site. If come Friday, Monday, whenever, you go to the site and you don't see this maintenance mode message, instead you see the Major Spoiler site as you love it and know it and remember it, then that means that our problem is resolved and we're now on the new server and life is good. But what a night and day difference in dealing with the customer service and the customer support between the old hosting provider and the new hosting provider. Monday, I was just so stressed out, so at my wit's end that I just couldn't deal with things anymore. And then I talked to their sales rep and I talked to some of their customer support people yesterday at the new hosting service provider. And it was such a great relief. I almost literally cried. Seriously, welling up. Not tears of, I'm so sad, but tears of joy. Tears of joy over how good they were treating me. Granted, they were trying to get my business, so maybe they were treating me a little nicer. But it was only reinforced today when I contacted my sales guy last night and I said, hey man, I got to tell you, the majorspoilers.com email address is down. You're going to have to send stuff to my other email address. I'm really sorry for this, but I haven't heard from you guys, and I know we want to get this moving. He called me this morning. Hey man, I got your email. I sent you an email. We'll just go ahead and change everything to your other email address. No problem. You're going to hear from our technical support person here in a little bit as soon as I finish these tickets up, and then you can get started. Here's all your information. Everything's ready to go. Don't worry about it. We're here for you throughout the entire process. Got off the phone with him. 20 minutes later, the tech support person. Now, this is really cool. The new hosting person, the new hosting provider, they have a whole tier of people who help. So there's like a main contact person. Then they have the support team just for my server. Then they have people who are in charge of accounts payable and all that stuff. Literal people whose names I know and direct phone numbers that I can contact. That right there is worth paying the extra money that I'm getting. And they were super patient. I said, hey, I'm going to need some help moving some stuff because I haven't done this before and I'm an idiot when it comes to servers. So I need a lot of hand holding. That's why I'm paying you guys this extra money. And the person I talked to, she said, no problem. Here, let's bring in our one of our server guys. I was not on hold for 5 minutes. I was on hold for less than a minute. And I got to talk to my new Linux server guy. And we talked and got things set up and things are moving. I think this new hosting provider is going to be wonderful. Wonderful. So that in a nutshell is what's going on with the site. But just because of how long it's downloading and taking to transfer everything, the site itself is not going to be up for probably a few more days. I think literally by the time all the files get moved, it's going to take us less than 2 hours to get everything configured and set up. But we're talking just in the image files alone, over the last 8.5 years, there's about a gigabyte worth of image files for every year that Major Spoilers has been around. I know that doesn't seem like a lot, but we're talking really small web-ready files, most of them less than 500K in size. And that's what's taking so long, because I'm literally downloading hundreds of thousands of files. So please bear with us a little bit longer. That's all I'm going to talk about this site for today. Unless you call in and you have questions, you can call in at the Major Spoilers hotline, 785-727-1939. Those phone lines are open right now. Or if you are on Skype and you want to call in that way, you can call me Steven_Schleicher. If you're watching over on the YouTube channel, in the comment section, there are comments there. Yeah. You're absolutely right. You're starting to think that these guys had no idea what they're doing. Holy crap, last night, I did get an email from the very nice technical support lady at my old hosting service provider. She did say that when they were trying to block the quote-unquote illegitimate traffic, that somehow in that it messed up the DNS and blocked everything on the server, and that's why nobody could get in. That's why none of you around the world could get in, and that's why so many of you were sending Twitter messages to me. But how does that happen? How does that happen? I have no idea how that happens. Listener, please tell me, how does this happen? Hello, hello, who is this?
Hello.
Is this Nate?
Yes, it is, sir. Sorry, my car is doing weird stuff.
No, that's okay. You shouldn't text and drive anyway, so there you go.
Oh, I guess I should stop doing things then. Anyway.
There you go. What's going on, man?
Nothing. On my way to go pick up my son from SECME, and love the hat. I got to catch the first, 10, 15 minutes at work.
Oh, thank you.
The hat's pretty cool, and I'm glad to hear that the site's coming back up soon. That'll be fun.
Yeah, it's just gonna take a while. I think too many people freaked out and thought that the site was gone for good. It's never been gone for good. We've only lost a day's worth of data. It's just that when the site comes back up, there's going to be this gap of when the site was turned off a week ago, And when it comes back up, I'm not going to backfill it with stories like sneak peeks and those kinds of things. But the site's there. It's there. The content is there.
That's cool.
You just can't get to it.
I think it'll be funny when you restore everything if all those critical hit pictures miraculously appear.
You say that. You say that. But I did find there was a hard drive failure here locally. That's why those critical hit pictures aren't there. Plus, of course, the network failure in 2010, also with my old hosting provider. But I was digging around in some other folders the other day, and I have found some of the images from those very first early episodes where they're missing. It's just going to, here I am too busy with being on the phone with technical support for, 1/5 of my life for the last week. Those are things that are preventing me from sitting down and recording new episodes, or recording new episodes and getting those images in there. But they're there. I have found some of them.
That's cool. No, well, but before you tell us your dream, I just wanted to say that I actually got to see Jason Inman on DC All Access today.
Yes, I thought that was today. I was so busy with other stuff. I did see him. Let me find the picture, because he sent me the picture a couple of weeks ago. He did say that and it was big hush hush, so that's why I haven't said anything. But he did tell me a couple of weeks ago that he actually went in and tested with DC All Access, and that he wanted me to keep it very quiet. So I thought today it was the one. So here's what everybody needs to do. As soon as I find it, and as soon as I find the DC All Access thing, we really need to hit the comment section up on that episode of the DC All Access and tell them to hire Jason, because he deserves this job.
Yeah, I tweeted it out to DC Comics and everything too today too. So it was really, he did a really good job.
Excellent.
It was very phenomenal.
I'm trying to find the image. Is this it? Yep. Put it in here, and then I will switch over to it. Yeah. So, it's upside down. Sorry, Jason. Stupid Wirecast does not have the ability to auto-correct the orientation of a photo. But yeah, here's the image he sent me back 2 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, when he said he tested. So I'm super happy with him. I'm super happy for him, and I really hope he gets that job. Anything else, Nathan?
No, that's it. Just want to call in, sending good thoughts, happy thoughts for everything, and
yeah, thank you.
So now you can tell us about your dream.
Okay, I will tell you about my dream. I will hang up on you if that's okay.
That is perfectly fine.
Okay, and tell about my dream. 785-727-1939 is the number you need to call. Craziest ass dream. I know people have had these dreams before where you're sitting in class, not naked, but you're sitting in class and it's like, I've never been to this class all semester and homework is due. I had 2 of those dreams last night. First of all, I didn't go to bed until almost 2, laid awake tossing and turning until about 3, dozed off for about an hour and a half, and in that hour and a half is when I had these 2 separate dreams where I wasn't in high school, wasn't in grade school, I was in college, and these 2 dreams were connected in that I had not been to my world geography class all semester. And there was a huge paper due, a huge assignment due. And I knew in my mind, in my dream, that, hey man, you haven't been to your world geography class. And I was like, yeah, but it's not showing up on my schedule anywhere. I don't know what time it is. And then all these other people that I knew from college were coming up to me and saying, hey, the instructor keeps asking about you, and we know that you want to go to the class, but don't you think you should turn in your world geography assignment? And it was just the weirdest thing in the world. I'd never had a dream like that. And then, so I woke up and I was tossing and turning again. And then I went back to sleep and picked up in the exact same dream universe that I had been in previously. But this time, I was sitting in class with some other people and we were goofing around. And the instructor walks in and he goes, hey, I know that you guys have a test next week. It's probably about time I hand out your chemistry textbooks. And so he starts handing out chemistry textbooks. This was a totally different class. And I'm in the class panicking, going, oh my God, there's a test coming up. And I haven't even read this book. And it's one of those big, thick chemistry textbooks. I know people have had those dreams before, but I haven't. And it was super surreal for me. I wasn't naked, and it wasn't like there was this panic attack that set in or anything. It was just this weirdness of, yeah, man, I haven't been to my world geography class all semester, and I feel okay with it. And I got a phone call from somebody, and this was the weirdest part was, I got a phone call from someone in my dream, and I could hear that person's voice. And the weird part was, when you're talking on a phone, like we were talking with Nathan just a moment ago, how it sounds different. It sounds tinny, or it sounds noisy, or whatever. That's what it sounded like in my dream on the cell phone. That's crazy, man. And the person was like, hey, yeah, I'm sitting in class right now. You might want to drop off your world geography paper. And I remember another guy that I went to school with. And I was like, hey, man, can I borrow your paper just to look at it and see what this is about? And that's really crazy. Mr. Rodrigo Lopez is on the phone. What's going on, Rodrigo?
Hey, man.
What's going on?
Oh, nothing much. Just working from home.
Yeah? How is that? My house is a little chilly upstairs today.
Awesome. Yeah, I heard about your weird dream.
What'd you think about that? I mean, isn't there some... I didn't have time today to play psychiatrist, psychologist, and look it up online. I wonder if this has anything to do with the website being down.
Yeah, I think it does. Basically, I think... have you ever had a lot of caffeine in one day, and then you get anxious, and then you're just randomly anxious, and then your brain is like, oh well, I must be anxious about my kids or my job or something like that, but you're not. You're just
right
over caffeinated. I think that's what your brain is doing. You're anxious about the website, and your brain is just firing, and you're like, oh, your brain's like, what is there to be anxious about? It's like, oh, I know, school.
Yeah.
I get that all
I
the
can
time.
see that.
I get that dream, and I get one where I'm doing theater, and I show up, and it's dress rehearsal, and I don't know any of my lines.
That's crazy. I'd never experienced that kind of a dream before. It was just really weird. And the weird part was it wasn't like I was panicking. It was just I'm aware that this is going on and I need to address it. And at one point my mom was there and I was like, hey mom, just letting you know, haven't been to my world geography class, probably going to get an F. And I just let you know about that ahead of time.
That's funny.
I know, it's weird.
Yeah,
it's
all
weird.
that stuff, it's and it's all of it is very improbable. But here's the thing, there was probably a moment in college where you did feel that way and your brain must have latched onto it.
Latched onto just being anxious? Oh yeah, I was always anxious in college.
Yeah, and that's it. It's your brain has all of these anxiety chemicals floating in it because of the website. So it's just you go to sleep and it tries to interpret them.
Yeah,
that's my guess
weird.
anyway.
No, I'm sure you're right. It's just not having... I've had dreams about work before. Where just a work dream where you're just at work and you're hating it there. And I'm sure it's very similar, but you always hear people talking about, oh man, I had the dream where I'm in class naked and that's homework's due or it's the big midterm test. And it's wow, I don't have any point of reference for that. And now I do. And I'm 44 years old.
Well, it's entirely possible that you also had those dreams before and you just don't remember them. Although,
yeah, that could be.
Yeah.
So anything else you just wanted to call in about my weird dream?
I was flipping through YouTube and I saw that you were on. So, of course, we recorded a show yesterday. We're recording a show later today, and we're recording a show tomorrow. So it just goes to show how dependent I am that I couldn't go 10 minutes without being hey, Steven, what's up?
Well, thanks for calling in, man. And we will see you tonight.
All right.
And we'll record some Major Spoilers podcast. Thanks, man.
Cool. Bye.
Okay, so the question in the comment section is, so what does this all have to do with the podcast releasing? So obviously with the DNS being messed up last night, there's no way that any of you could have accessed the Munchkin Land feed. Now that everything's resolved, and even though we're still on the old hosting service provider, I did update the Major Spoilers Podcast Network master feed to include the new episode of Geek History Lesson with Jason and Ashley, so you'll get that. Tonight, we are recording new episodes of the Major Spoilers podcast and Zach on Film, and those will go up tonight. If we have to, I really didn't plan on doing a top 5 tonight, so we probably won't have a top 5 this week unless Bruce wants to send something in. And then Friday, you'll get Zach on Film in your feeds, and on Saturday, you'll get Critical Hit and Wayne's Comics Podcast, Dueling Review probably on Thursday with Matthew. So we should be back into our normal schedule. Just last night was the only night you couldn't access stuff. So you should be able to access everything right now. If you're not able to access new episodes of the podcast, just send me an email. Send me an email to podcast@majorspoilers.com and let me know if you're getting error messages when you try to refresh the feed. You shouldn't at this point. I hope you aren't. And then, of course, when we switch over, the new hosting provider knows that this is a rush job, and even though it takes about 24 hours to propagate through the interwebs to get the new DNS, whatever it is, name server pointing the right directions, there's going to be very little time. So we are recording. In fact, last night we recorded, as Rodrigo mentioned, we recorded two episodes of Munchkin Land, which were a blast. And I think you'll enjoy that. And we've got plans for new games and new things coming up on Munchkin Land in the future. So there you go. I hope that answers your question. Can I talk about Critical Hit? What do you want me to talk about Critical Hit? I can talk about Critical Hit. I do have the Dungeon Master's Guide, the new Dungeon Master's Guide for the 5th edition that Wizards of the Coast sent me. And it's really great. And it looks interesting. I haven't had a lot of time to read it. But I was concerned because if you've read the Player's Guide, you know that there's no Eladrin. Well, the Dungeon Master's Guide tries to address that by talking about creating sub-races in 5th edition. And they say, for example, if you wanted to create a sub-race, you might want to create a sub-race of Eladrin. Of course, that made me mad because everyone knows that Eladrin are not a sub-race. But yeah, so that's come in. So now the Dungeon Master's Guide comes out on December 8th. You can get that through the Amazon link over at majorspoilers.com. And again, if you are over at majorspoilers.com, you will notice that the maintenance page is up. But you can find a link to our Amazon affiliate link right there. You can find links to our /loot for t-shirts if you're looking for Critical Hit t-shirts. If you want to head over and buy some a really cool flask that we have, I've got one. I've got many of them, both in Major Spoilers form and in Critical Hit form, from the majorspoilers.bigcartel.com website. You can find posters of all your favorite Critical Hit characters, some other merchandise, dice bags, and all that stuff, all over at our Major Spoilers Big Cartel website. So that is your shameless plug for today's episode. If you want those links, or if you want those direct links, here's the one for Amazon. Here's the one for Major Spoilers, bigcartel.com, and of course /loot for all your cool t-shirt needs. 785-727-1939. Be like Nathan. Be like Rodrigo. Give us a call and let's chat. Let's talk about your day. Let's see where you want to go. In fact, I forgot to get these other two guys to comment, but the Major Spoilers poll of the week, we're doing it in online form this week, on the video form. What do you think of the new lightsaber from Star Wars The Force Awakens? When you give a call, let's make sure that we address that in this episode. A little bit of coughing there, don't worry. I didn't die yet. So yes, there's some comments. Waiting for your phone calls. Actually, we've got some news. We can talk about some news. Some of it you'll hear again on the next Major Spoilers podcast. Gem and the Holograms. You know, there's this weird fascination with everything from the 80s. In fact, I pointed to a webcomic this week where the father was talking to his son. These are based on actual conversations that this guy hears in the comic book shop. And the dad is looking at the son. He goes, oh, so what they're basically doing is taking all the crap that you loved as a kid and repackaging it and selling it to you again. Jeez, what a racket. And right now, it seems like there's a and really for the last probably 5, 6, 8 years, a really big crush on the 80s. We've seen that with the Ninja Turtles. We've seen that with My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. Of course, the Care Bears are starting to come back. I've seen Garbage Pail Kid cards. I've seen the Cabbage Patch Kids try to make a comeback. And now we get Jim and the Holograms. And, they just had a big box, their entire cartoon run show up about, I want to say 2 years ago. And there's a Jim and the Holograms movie in the works that will be hitting theaters very soon. And now IDW Publishing has a Jim and the Holograms comic book in the works. And I think that's kind of worth talking about. Let me find all the relevant information here. It's coming out in March of 2015. And this is going to be an ongoing series. It's not going to be a limited series. The creative team is Kelly Thompson, who you know from Story Killer, The Girl Who Would Be King, and artist Ross Campbell, who's done Glory and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And then there's a bunch of subscription variants by Sarah Richard, who does a lot of the My Little Pony covers as well. So we can look forward to Jim and the Holograms. They debuted on television in 1985, so almost, what has it been? Wow, 30 years? Really? That long? Anyway, this is a joint announcement from Hasbro and IDW Publishing, and I'm kind of excited about it. I mean, I was not a huge Jim and the Holograms fan growing up. That was more of my sister's realm. Although, the animation was for what it was. I mean, it wasn't cartoony Archie type stuff. So Sabrina and the Pussycats, Josie and the Pussycats, or Sabrina the Teenage Witch type stuff in that animation. But there was something to it that was very attractive. And of course, it was very flashy and poppy and very 80s. So we've got that going for us. Jimmy Palmiotti has a new project going on at Boom Studios. His next all-new original project will be with Boom Studios, and it's going to be co-written by Matt Brady. Boom Studios has worked with him to bring this together, and they've got a brand new series that'll be coming out in 2015 as well, so we can look forward to that from Jimmy Palmiotti. I had mentioned yesterday, and I know Ashley got very excited about this, about the new Skeleton Crew Studios key. They have made, I want to say, 10 keys so far from the Lock and Key series, and they have the brand new one that's on pre-order now. These are not plastic. They're really handcrafted keys that the guy makes the mold and then he pours it and does all of that stuff. So they're cast keys. They're very heavy. They're very intricate, and they're very unique. So if you remember the keys from the Lock and Key series, then this is what the head of the key looks like. And I'm kind of excited about this. So I wanted to show you guys this today if you had not seen it, because it is worth checking out. And let's see what else we got. Oh, how about this? Now I'm going to preface this right now because I'm sure it will get this episode taken down later. But Warner Brothers does send us a lot of stuff. They do send us links and a lot of video that does not necessarily have a YouTube embed that we can put on the site. So they encourage us to take that video and put it in our own YouTube channel and do whatever. But Batman, Assault on Arkham, that video game is coming out soon. And there is a brand new trailer, animation, whatever you want to call it, commercial for the new game. And this time it's got the Batmobile taking on a whole bunch of tanks. So I'm going to play this now. This is probably going to get us get this episode taken down because of copyright violation, or at least get flagged, even though the company that's flagging us for copyright violation sent it to us and said share with your readers and your viewers. So here we go. your video look. It looks cool. I mean, obviously the game doesn't play like the video that you're watching, but it still is very cool on top of that. Yeah, there you go. So not to just make sure that not to bias this too much on the DC side, we should also talk some Marvel stuff. Marvel has revealed that Agent Carter's premiere, Agent Carter, Sharon Carter, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., or whatever what the full title is, they have announced that the very first episode is going to be a 2-hour-long episode. And, of course, it kicks off during the mid-season hiatus of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. In the same time slot. Now, Agent Carter has appeared on Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. a couple of times. But this is pretty cool because this was an 8-part series. And unless they're dropping an episode of the series and banking these, just banging them into one episode, a 2-hour-long, essentially, 40, an hour and a half long movie, 84 minutes of Agent Carter for the premiere. I think that's pretty cool. What about you? 785-727-1939. That's the number that you want to call. We've got about 25 minutes left, and then I've got to go get the kids and then get them fed. And then get ready for some Major Spoilers podcast action tonight that you will be able to hear in your feed. Yes, Lash Dude says in the comments, I'm Batman. Funniest thing, probably not one of the highlights, but a funny highlight from my Thanksgiving weekend came on Sunday. We were driving back home, and the two kids were sitting in the back, just being super quiet, minding their own business. The youngest is 3, and he's just looking out the window and being super good on the trip, which is really a change for him, because usually about an hour into the trip, he starts yelling and screaming because he wants to get up and run around. But he was comfortable just, looking out the window, looking at the scenery, if that's what you can call it in Western Kansas, and just behaving himself and entertaining himself. And I'm just up there driving along, listening to some podcast or something, when all of a sudden from the back seat, the 3-year-old screams at the top of his voice, "I am Batman!" And just in dead silence. And then he just went back to being silent again. And he wasn't watching anything having to do with Batman. He wasn't reading anything having to do with Batman. And he blurts out that he's Batman. And holy crap, my wife and I just started cracking up, wondering where that came from. And then afterwards, if he's Batman, I think we need to kind of fear for our lives, because Bruce Wayne's parents get killed. Steven _Schleicher is where you can call me on Skype. 785-727-1939 is the number you can call if you're driving in your car or wherever that you are at. That's about it for the news that I have for today. I'm trying to see if there's anything else. Oh, I do have a couple of other things. Dynamite Entertainment. Dynamite Entertainment has a brand new Pathfinder book coming out. Now, they've had Pathfinder series since, I want to say 2012 was their first Pathfinder series. But they announced a brand new one, Pathfinder Origins. This is a joint venture between Paizo Inc., I think that's how you say it, or Paizo Inc., and Dynamite Entertainment. They announced Pathfinder Origins, the next series based on the RPG game. This is a quote from the press release that they sent us. The Pathfinder Origins series will tell the tales of the early days of the Pathfinder iconic heroes. The series will contain 6 issues written by Pathfinder developer Eric Mona, who is the publisher and chief creative officer at the gaming company, F. Wesley Schneider, who's the editor-in-chief, and James Sutter, who is the senior editor over at Paizo. Each issue features one of the main Pathfinder comics characters, Valeros, Sione, a bunch of others I'm not going to pronounce, and in an early adventure that sees them team up with another Pathfinder iconic hero who has not yet appeared in the comics format. The first issue arrives in February of 2015. I think that pretty much sums it up. And yeah, that was the last story that I had for today. So I noticed some of you are talking about the lightsaber in the chat, which is cool. Some of you don't see what the point is. Some of you like the fact that there's a new lightsaber. Some of you don't like the fact that there's a new lightsaber. Some of you don't like the fact that there's a guard. Some of you do like it. Personally, as I said the other day, I think it makes a lot of sense. Count Dooku had the bendy, the more the fencing type lightsaber. So now we have something different. Somebody wants to know, what have I done with my children? I hope I'm raising them right. That's the one thing that I hope. They're two great kids. One of them is very smart. Mason, who you've heard on the Major Spoilers podcast before. He is super smart. I don't know when you guys learned your multiplication tables, but the kid is now in his, not even halfway through his second grade year, and he's already learning multiplication tables with double digits. I didn't start doing that, I don't think, until third or fourth grade. So he's far advanced as far as that goes. The youngest, the 3-year-old, I think is just a natural comedian because that kid is a goof. And I think what I'll have for next week, I think I'm going to have him tell us, we're going to have a Major Spoilers poll of the week like we always do, pitting some superhero against another superhero. And then this is going to be one like the Fighting Robots one, where here are the two heroes. You guys get to place your bets on who's going to win. And then the 3-year-old is going to tell us who wins because he's got it all worked out in his head and he is about as detailed as he possibly can. So we'll see what we can do with that next week if he's cooperative. Some nights he doesn't want to be on camera. Other nights he wants to just ham it up and cheese it up. You can find some of those over at my Instagram. Occasionally they'll appear up on the Twitter feed at Major Spoilers. So just check it out there. About another 5 minutes. I'll give you guys a chance to call in. If you guys aren't going to call in, then I'm going to save my voice for the Major Spoilers podcast. Tonight we're talking about comic books. We'll definitely be talking about the Star Wars trailer. And we'll be talking about, I forget what else is on the agenda for tonight. But I know Star Wars trailer. I'm sure we're going to be talking more about the site being down. But yeah, there you go. Oh, big thank you. I cannot believe I forgot this. But a big thank you to our Major Spoilers VIPs. VIP members like you, if you're a VIP member, I know Nate is a VIP member. If you are a VIP member, you are responsible for this show. You are the one that made this possible. The Finally Friday show that we do every Friday at 3:30 p.m. Central Time is a direct result of VIP members from around the world contributing to what believing in and contributing to what Major Spoilers Entertainment does so that we can bring you more quality content. And to be honest, if I was working another job instead of doing this full time, we wouldn't, the site would be down and you wouldn't be hearing anything from me because I'd be too busy working my other job and trying to juggle the website at the same time. And the site would probably be down for a lot longer than the time that it's going to be down for right now. And that's all because of our Major Spoilers VIPs. They provide the funding to make sure that shows get made, that games get purchased so that we can play on Munchkin Land, that movies are purchased so that we can watch them for Zach on Film and the new incarnation of Zach on Film in the future. It ensures that our equipment is top-notch and running as smoothly as possible. So if you are a Major Spoilers VIP, thank you very much. This episode is all your doing. So there you go. And if you want to be one of the cool kids like the Major Spoilers VIPs like Nate, point your browser to, and I believe it is working, we'll double check this, point your browser to members.majorspoilers.com. Oh, there it is right there. And you can sign up, you can get access to the monthly live chats, you can get access to the bonus tracks, which is us sitting around doing commentary on different movies. You can get some behind the scenes stuff, like what our setups are when we're doing live shows and our podcast setup and all that kind of stuff. Even some wallpapers and art and a bunch of cool stuff, including, I think the last Munchkin Land that we actually released was the Munchkin Land Critical Hit episode. You can get your own set of Critical Hit Munchkin cards. Whoops, I'm not signed in, so it's not taking me to that page. But you can get your own set of Critical Hit Munchkin cards that you can incorporate into your next game. So thank you, Major Spoilers VIPs. You guys are awesome. Okay, I think that's where I'm going to wrap it up today. We don't have any more phone calls coming in, but we do have a show that goes on each and every Friday that you can call in and participate. And really, I know that a lot of this show is me talking about what's going on with the website, But the whole point of Finally Friday is for you to call in and tell us what you thought was cool about the week and interact with me or whoever else that we've had on. We've had Zach co-host. We've had Ashley co-host. I think we're going to try to get her back on again really soon, especially as the Red Shirt Diaries goes into its season 2 production. I may know a little bit about that too. So keep your ear to the ground and your eyes into the comic books and keep watching the skies. And today was Terrible Tuesday. Yesterday was Manic Monday. I don't know what Wednesday or Thursday is going to be, but I cannot wait until we get to Finally Friday, when hopefully all of our woes are taken care of. Until then, I want you to take care, and we will talk with you again really soon. Speaking of major spoilers of VIPs, here's a really long list of some of those VIPs that make this show possible. Talk to everyone tomorrow.